In this video, we're diving into the profound concept of death. I'll be sharing with you 3 concepts that will help you think about death in a very different way, that will absolutely ease your mind, bringing you much needed relief. These 3 concepts have helped me think of death in a very different way than what I was taught. It's brought me peace, relief, and hope. And I'll be sharing them with you in this video so that you can perhaps find them useful as well. Have you ever really thought about what happens when we die? Is it truly the end? Or could we perhaps live on in another form? Can we really renew ourselves and try again? Are the spirits or souls on the other side of the veil helping their loved ones out? Of course, one can only speculate what happens on this end of things, but we'll touch on a few facts that we do know. But first, let me know in the comments what your beliefs are about what death is and what happens afterwards. I would love to hear from you. Personally, I've always been caught between fear and fascination when it comes to death. This fear was instilled by my upbringing and the religion that I was in at the time, including the fact that our modern-day society's way of dealing with death leaves us with no comfort or peace or a healthy view of it. In the last 2 months, I've had to face death head-on, again, with the passing of several family members and friends. This has pushed me to reflect even more deeply on the subject, prompting me to create this video to share my thoughts and perhaps offer you some sort of comfort. Even as I have gained a better understanding, I still struggle when confronted with death, although not as intensely as before. And even I need a reminder of this from time to time. I realize that we all have our own view and that our religion dictates what we believe about death. If you're anything like me, I was never satisfied with religion's view on death. It just left more questions of which there was never any answer for. One religion stated that death was it and nothing happens after we die. Another religion stated that you're judged by your deeds on earth and you either go to heaven or you burn in hell for eternity. All of which just left me more anxious and worried and harshly judged already, leaving me with nothing but anger. And with even more questions about death and questions on what this life is all about anyway. I was very angry, frustrated, and helpless, being a pawn in this harsh, sick game that was being played by God. Eventually, I learned about the Eastern religions, shamanism, and Celtic religions, as well as animism, and I developed a completely different view on life and death as well as reincarnation. And of course, I had already dealt with and shed my ideas of hell and the demons, so that wasn't an issue anymore. And I'll do a separate video on that later on, so stay tuned. And so here are 3 concepts that just might help you think about death in a more hopeful way that brings you some sense of peace and ease of mind. Concept number 1, the circle of life and death. Life, death, and renewal are part of a natural cycle. It's inevitable for ourselves and those that we love. While we can't prevent it, understanding this cycle can help us come to terms with it. Just like in nature, we see life and death cycle in the changing of the seasons. The fall brings decay, winter a time of rest, dormancy, or hibernation, which is a little death, and then spring, which heralds in a new life or renewal. And we're included in nature. We're not separate from nature, and we experience similar cycles. Concept number 2, the spirit survives death. Everything is energy, and remember that energy cannot die. It just transforms. And since our spirit or consciousness is energy, that means that we don't just end either. We transform into spirit. and maybe reincarnate. But this I know, we have a consciousness that is energy, so therefore we don't die, but we continue on. We can either stay a spirit and help create a new universe, or reincarnate into another life form to finish lessons, or to just live life and create things as humans. Anything else would not be the love or freedom that we are assured of having. This life, death, and renewal cycle in nature and in us living things is the transformational cycle that sustains life and influences our perception of reality. Nothing can stay constant. Change and transformation is a must for life and for our reality to even exist. Concept number 3, communication with our loved ones. Our loved ones are still here. They're just on the other side, and we can still communicate with them. It's just going to be a little bit different. And they can even help us after death. Yes, there are seances and mediums and rituals to help us speak with our loved ones, but you really don't need that. You could just speak out loud and have a conversation with them. You might imagine them being right beside you and responding to your questions and giving you much needed wisdom. You never know, you could end up laughing and smiling through the whole exchange, remembering their mannerisms and the predictable things that they used to say. For instance, when I'm at a certain store that I always took my mom to, I remember the times that we walked around looking at this and that, and then I see something that she would have liked. And then I see something I like, and then I hear my mom say, "Go ahead and buy it, Michelle. Go ahead, it's nice, and you'll figure out what to do with it when you get home." And then I'm like, "Yes, Mom, you're right." And then I go ahead and buy it with a smile on my face, thinking of my mother. So go ahead and share some coffee, some breakfast, take a walk with them, and speak to them. You both will be happier for that experience. Perhaps a bird or a butterfly, they'll come and visit you to acknowledge your exchange. Those are the 3 concepts that I hope will help you in coping with this subject of death. The circle of life and death, the spirit survives death, communication with our loved ones. To help you further, you can always look and learn from the past. Before Christianity, ancient civilizations and religions all believed similar concept of what happens after we die. That is evidenced by their history that is repeated in the stories that they pass down from generation to generation for thousands of years. So pay attention to those so-called myths. Pay attention to the death rites in other countries. They tell a story of hope and rebirth and what happens on the other side. This is played out in all civilizations throughout the world. We can learn much from our ancestors. Death teaches us to understand that everything is transient and reminds us to cherish each moment and live authentically right now. I invite you to find peace in the present and appreciate the beauty in life's fleeting experiences. Life and death also teaches us the value of love and connection with others. The bonds that we form and the love that we share become our legacy. In facing immortality, we learn to prioritize the meaningful relationships and create lasting memories. By reflecting on these concepts, we can reshape our understanding of death from a source of fear into a catalyst for living a more vibrant and connected life. If you need more help, feel free to contact me. Details will be below in the description. I also have a digital mindfulness toolkit available to purchase at just under $20 this month. So check out the details in the description. It's just what you need to help you facilitate in meditation, simple breathing techniques, and mindfulness activities, as well as providing you with several resources. Remember, the holiday season is coming up, and this just might be the perfect thing your person is looking for. Until my next video in this stuff series, you can check this video out on coping with change. And remember, sprinkle some love and joy everywhere you go. And be grateful for what you have now to attract more of it.